球传给你的时候，都代表了我对你的一份信任。这一辈子，能和值得信任的伙伴在一起，是多么难能可贵的事。
Welcome everyone to my first ever link click theory video. Now, I know I'm hopping on this train a little late. Some of the things I am going to be talking about have already been said before 100%, but there's some theories that I wanted to talk about that are my own, as well as just touching base on some things that I think could be true that other theorists have said and whatnot. This isn't going to be a follow-up of anything. Again, this is just an introduction to my channel, an introduction to some of the theories that I'm going to be presenting, and then from there I'll follow up when Bridon arc finishes, when I find something interesting in a new episode or in a previous episode, that kind of thing. First off, before we actually get into the contents of the video and whatnot, I know a lot of link click theorists are not normal. I want to make it abundantly clear to my Pinterest followers, because I see you guys. I know you guys are here, as well as my family, that I am normal. I'm incredibly normal. I'm just doing this for fun, and because link click has not at all consumed 90% of the space in my brain. Yeah, sorry. Now, we're not here for a whole introduction. We're not here for a bunch of yapping. I mean, we are here for yapping, but about link click. I'm going to leave a short little introduction in the description if you guys want to read that. So without further ado, welcome to my link click Bridon and Beyond theory video. The first thing I wanted to note is something that a lot of people have mentioned, which is the suggestion that we are being showed a few of Shangshasher's deaths within the first few scenes of link click Bridon arc episode 1. So we see Lu Guang sitting here in front of the dark room. We do see a potted plant that is shattered, which Vane had just shot. Vane is holding a gun pointed at Lu Guang, and Shangshasher is somewhere over here. Originally, I was a bit confused on this because I thought he had to have been, like, right here, because when we see him getting up, he is leaning on a wall with picture frames, but he could very well be leaning on the wall over here, which probably does have picture frames. So he claps, he dives into the past. Don't ask me how, I don't know how they set this whole thing up. And he appears right here in front of Lu Guang. He gets shot, yada yada. So their starting positions are right here, and Vane is right here. So then here in this scene, they are labeled by scenes, and you will see why in a little bit. Vane is picking up his gun, so we see the gun right here. There's no frames here, and there's no missing picture frames here. Again, I'll touch base on that later. We see little blood drops going all from the front desk to the floor. You might have to turn your brightness up to see it because it is kind of difficult to see, but there are blood drops. Then we see a clock right here, we see the shattered plant, and we see a picture board. It does look like a picture board, it doesn't just look like a picture frame, it looks like a board with pictures on it, unless it's the lighting. But Lu Guang and Shangshasher are heading into the dark room for safety. I don't know how much safety that'll give them, but I mean, they seem fine. So then this one is labeled with scene 2 because it is quite different. So there are missing picture frames. There are picture frames over here, which again alludes to the idea that there is probably a wall here that does have picture frames. And then we see frames on the floor. Now there are no blood drops on the counter. There what looks to be like something shattered over here or just extra blood. I'm not 100% sure, but I didn't note that until just now. There's a chair right here. There is a blood smear, which looks like either someone was dragged into the dark room, someone dragged themselves into the dark room, or they were dragged out. There's a picture frame here. There's no plant here, and the clock is right here. So if we take a look at just both of these in general, this looks quite different from this. It just looks... the setup is just different. And obviously we can see that there's no shattered plant. The clock is right there, but then the clock is here. You know, things like that. So this scene is clearly different than this one. Now, I've seen people say, oh, there might be more than even 2 timelines, or there might be 3 or 4. But this is the big difference that I noted. So then this alludes back to scene 1. It is a little cut off because my screen recorder cut it off. But we see blood just specifically in this area. Obviously, Shang Xiaoshi was propped to the other side, so his blood spilled out onto the floor over here. We don't see any blood over here, just on his hands, his body, and the right side of the floor. But then here we can see that the blood is entering the room. Now this is from scene 2, where we see the blood entering the room. Now we see the chair, we see the photo frames, we see the missing frames here, and he does look to be positioned the same with the exception of blood being here and then blood being like entering the room. So the reason I point that out is because it does seem like there are different scenes, different timelines. And I also want to note that there is no light here. There is light here, which it could just be, you know, design. They want to show you that he's dying, so they put a big block of light here, but that is something else to note, that there's no light here, but then there's light in the other one. Now, something that's a little bit odd that I might be overthinking, but what's new? I mean, we literally have a song called Overthink in Link Click, so they obviously knew that us as a fandom would collectively overthink everything. But it's the fact that the outfit Felix is wearing looks very similar, very identical to the outfit that Lu Guang is wearing at the end of Season 2. Now, of course, the one that Lu Guang is wearing is not buttoned up and seems to have some kind of scarf underneath it. I believe if it were buttoned up, it would be identical to the one that Felix is wearing. Yes, this could just be a coincidence, it could be just a common style, but everything down to the fact that they're both wearing a black turtleneck and a beige jacket is the same. The colors are the same, the style is the same, it just seems weird. Shifting in a different direction, that's something relatively off topic, but still incredibly relevant to Link Click, is the fact that Shang Xiaoshi isn't the only one who died. We see Xiaoling bleeding out in the first episode. Shang Xiaoshi pleads Lu Guang to, quote-unquote, save them, almost as if he knows that Lu Guang is going to go back and try and change the outcome. But in Lu Guang's nightmare, we clearly see Shang Xiaoshi saying, "We're all dead." Now, I've seen some people a little bit confused about how the nightmare Shang Xiaoshi knows about things that happened in Season 1, knows about the fact that everyone's dead. This isn't the real Shang Xiaoshi. This is Lu Guang's nightmare. Lu Guang has all of the memories of what happened in Season 1, Season 2, if he's made it that far. So when his dream is being made, Shang Xiaoshi is a vessel for all of Lu Guang's trauma. So this Shang Xiaoshi is essentially reminding him that everyone's dead. This isn't the real Shang Xiaoshi doing that. This is Lu Guang's memories being incorporated into a fake Shang Xiaoshi from his dream. I'm rereading a comment I posted on Let's Watch Some Anime Now comment section for their reaction to Bridon Arc Episode 3. A theory I've had since Season 2 is the idea that Lu Guang and Shang Xiaoshi's fates might coexist. What this means is that since Lu Guang got stabbed, survived, but is injured, so would Shang Xiaoshi. If Lu Guang died, then Shang Xiaoshi would live and vice versa. The only reason I bring this up is because Shang Xiaoshi did not die in Season 2, but he was shot. He survived, but he was injured. If fate is constantly nagging at him and trying to kill him, why didn't it kill him then? Was it an accident? Keep in mind that Shang Xiaoshi died in Season 1. Lu Guang has kept him alive, so far, for 2 seasons. This could be a curse that has been placed on Lu Guang for altering the events in the past. To add to this, we see Vayne saying, "This is your punishment for changing the past," with a gun in his hands. Shang Xiaoshi could very well be a prop the antagonists used to punish Lu Guang, killing Shang Xiaoshi because they knew he's Lu Guang's weak spot. Something that I just noticed as I was collecting clips for this video is the fact that at the end of Season 1, when Red Eyes has just stabbed Lu Guang and Shang Xiaoshi has come back from a dive where he was trying to help Emma, Red Eyes ends up saying the line, "This is your punishment for not playing the game fairly." Which obviously means that by stabbing Lu Guang, that is the punishment that Shang Xiaoshi has received. To shine this in another light, when we look at Lu Guang going back and trying to save Sheng Xiaoshu, Vane ends up going, "This is your punishment for changing the past." So with a quick side-by-side comparison, both Red Eyes and Vane say the same thing in relation to both of the main characters doing something that goes against the laws of time. Something I've been kind of confused about is why Xiaoling is dead. We're so focused on the fact that Sheng Xiaoshu has died and Lu Guang is actively reversing the past over and over again to try and alter his fate, but nobody's talking about Xiaoling to my knowledge. Someone had to have changed her fate, whether it be Lu Guang or Sheng Xiaoshu or someone else entirely. But something else I wanted to point out that also brings up Sheng Xiaoshu getting shot is Sheng Xiaoshu was protecting Xiaoling. It wasn't that he was standing there and Xuanjin, I can never pronounce his name, shot him. It was that he was pointing the gun at Xiaoling and Sheng Xiaoshu stepped in and took the blow for her. This could be some kind of foreshadowing for the fact that Lu Guang altered Sheng Xiaoshu's fate and Sheng Xiaoshu possibly altered Xiaoling's fate, but everything that I've said so far is just speculation. However, this leads us to our final theory of today's video, which is the hero and villain trope. I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with the trope in general, but the way that it fits in with Linklick's story is as follows. We can see in Season 2 that Sheng Xiaoshu is contemplating whether he should go back in time and reverse Lu Guang's death. Now, obviously, Lu Guang isn't dead, but Sheng Xiaoshu does not know that at this point. We know as a whole Lu Guang is very stern on not changing the past, not altering big nodes, small nodes even, and as Sheng Xiaoshu is pondering whether he should reverse time, he keeps this in mind. When we look at Lu Guang, however, he completely goes back on his word, which is where a lot of people get angry at Lu Guang and start calling him a hypocrite. Now, while this is true, it just shows the difference between Sheng Xiaoshu and Lu Guang. Sheng Xiaoshu, up until this point, wanted to change people's fates. He wanted to keep people happy. He wanted to make them all okay. Lu Guang, on the other hand, didn't necessarily care. He was just insistent on keeping the past play out as it was supposed to. But when faced with the idea that what would you do if the person you hold most dear? Sheng Xiaoshu doesn't alter the past, but Lu Guang does.
It's a hypocritical construct, righteously wipes out all of us. But I keep rising back from the dust. 无数碎片不停缠绕心里，the shadows they whisper.